On Trunks' first arrival in the story, he immediately establishes himself as a man of action, taking down Frieza and his father like they were nothing. But despite this, Trunks throughout the rest of the series experiences failure after failure, which includes the glimpses we see into his past. Despite wanting to change more than anything, Trunks is ultimately powerless, unable to save his future, and thus travels back into the past trying to prevent it all. And while Trunks eventually succeeds, and not only do the Z fighters of the main timeline beat the androids, and Trunks goes back to the past and saves humanity from the tyrannical androids, his future is still ultimately destroyed. This is the tragedy of Trunks. When Trunks is first introduced to the audience, he astonishes us all, transforms into a Super Saiyan, and dismantles the biggest foe Goku has ever fought and King Cold in a matter of minutes, whilst never dropping his composure for a second. This gives the audience the impression, 1. Who is this guy? And 2. Can he beat Goku though? This first impression we get, not only does it follow the rule of cool, but it also makes us think that this guy must really be something. But within the span of a couple of chapters later, we see Trunks not only go toe-to-toe with Goku, we also see that Goku is still probably stronger than Trunks. But not only that, we also find out that Trunks came back to the past unable to beat the enemies in his present. This is one of the first turning points we see in Trunks' story that may suggest he might not be as composed and as well put together as we think he is. This brings us to one of the 3 of the main defining character traits of Trunks I want to talk about in this video. And this first trait being his inability to push beyond his fears and continuously doubting his own abilities. He believes that the Z fighters cannot take on the androids without Goku, which later he is shown that he was correct for having this estimate. But despite this, Trunks also acknowledges that he may have underestimated the people around him, stating that, "I never knew my father was so powerful. He's holding his own against those androids." This shows that despite Trunks thinking they cannot beat the androids was true, he was both underestimating himself and the others around him. But when Vegeta does go down in battle against Android 18, Trunks flies in without a second thought and gets handled effortlessly. Once again, Trunks is put into a position of powerlessness. Trunks isn't without reason for doing this. His reaction is caused by the fear he is trapped in from his past and his trauma of not being able to save his master Gohan. Now, in both the anime and manga, Trunks has a similar experience in his past, but for this video I'll be looking at the continuity of the History of Trunks special, as I think it does a much better job at portraying Trunks' past. Now, to put it quite frankly, Trunks in this special and in the entire story can be described as a man out of time. By this, I mean that Trunks doesn't have time to grow, time to think, he only has time to act. By the time Trunks is barely a teenager, he has this role thrust upon him as one of the last remaining survivors that stand a chance against the androids. But here is the problem. Trunks is just a boy, ill-equipped to deal with the world in front of him, and no matter how much he wants to help his master Gohan, he can't. He is powerless to face the world in front of him, and this is demonstrated beautifully in the special as Trunks finds his master's corpse lying dead on the ground. With Trunks now at his breaking point, not being able to take the reality of his situation anymore, he ignites into a Super Saiyan. This scene is just masterfully drawn and is without a doubt one of the most emotionally raw transformations in the series. But above all else, it is the accumulation of Trunks' life so far. Since the moment he was born, and it has just been one tragedy after another, and now left alone in this world to confront these 2 monstrous cyborgs alone. And try as he might, he is no match for them. Left for dead, being nearly killed by a hair with no other options left, he must travel back to the past to save the future. Now back in the present, even though Trunks has tried to save the future, nothing is working for him. This is until he's training in the hyperbolic time chamber with his father, Vegeta. Now this period of time is barely seen in the anime or manga, but it does say something about Trunks' character. His relationship with his father, and once again, Trunks is now struck with fear. Now, I'm not going to delve into his relationship with Vegeta too much in this video, but if you guys would be interested in that, let me know. But when Trunks first enters the time chamber, he is severely overwhelmed by the room, but Vegeta immediately jumps to the task at hand, assured of himself. Despite Trunks being overwhelmed by the room, he trains for a whole year, presumably mostly by himself, and becomes even stronger than his father. With this newfound power and strength after his father's failures and Trunks' failure to not being able to prevent Cell from achieving his perfect form, he stands tall, determined to bring an end to Cell's rampaging. Despite the fact Trunks is the very reason why Cell is here in the first place, he is still here to defeat him. But here we see another character flaw in Trunks. He is green.
Because you're green.
Wait, you mean...
No, not like me, you idiot. As in, you're a novice, an amateur. You're surrounded by fighters who have seen more action in a week than you've seen in your entire life. Hell, at your age, Goku had defeated an entire army, several demons, and sent a rabbit to the moon.
Did you make that last one up?
TFS said it best in their version of Trunks. Trunks is an amateur, a novice, flung into a world without barely any proper training, yet here he is, standing as one of the last lines of defense for humanity against the tyrannical Cell. But because Trunks is naive and not aware of his own weaknesses, in this transformation he is unable to take down Cell and cannot beat the beast that lies before him. Even in the climactic act against Cell, Trunks is not able to achieve much besides defending himself from some Cell Juniors, and eventually getting put down by Cell himself. However, this is not where Trunks' story ends. Despite his shortcomings and many failures he experienced in the saga, through it all, he stood up and fought for it all. This is Trunks' final character trait that I mentioned in the start of the video. Despite all the setbacks, Trunks continues to fight in face of adversity, a trait that we could all take a little more in our day-to-day lives. Trunks did manage by the end of the saga not to just save his timeline, but the main timeline as well. But unfortunately for Trunks, that is not where his story ends. Goku Black Arc, Trunks' timeline is in a dire state, with humanity on the brink of extinction, and once again, Trunks is the only one who can stop it. Despite being able to avert the crisis of Majin Buu in his dimension, he cannot beat Goku Black alone, and once again retreats to the past looking for help. He is now once again powerless and unable to beat Goku Black on his own, leaving his timeline behind with the context that both his mom and Mai are probably dead. Throughout the arc, Trunks relies on his father and Goku to defeat his foes for him, but unlike in the Cell Saga, this time it's different. With Goku and Vegeta down for the count, Trunks stands tall, achieving a new form, and takes on Goku Black and Zamasu by himself, making room for Goku and Vegeta to escape. For a lot of this arc, it looks like Trunks is retreading steps from his character arc in the Cell Saga, but in the Goku Black arc's finale, we see the fundamental difference between the Trunks of now and when he was a teenager in the Cell Saga. He has overcome a lot of his fatal flaws, no longer unsure of himself. He is well aware of his capabilities and continues to move forward until he is triumphant. Unfortunately, despite his growth, despite his strength, even when landing the finishing blow on Zamasu, it's no good, and his future is ultimately destroyed, thus ending his story with the opportunity to go to another timeline with Mai and try and start anew. So what have we learned? That even if you try your best, and try with all your might, you still maybe not succeed in the end? I don't think that should be the takeaway of this story. Despite what the thumbnail and title says, although his life was a tragedy, it was also a tale of resilience. To stand back up no matter how much life beats you down, that no matter what happens, as long as you give it your best, there will be a silver lining at the end of the tunnel. And this, I believe, is the story of Trunks. Thanks for watching. Now this video is a lot different from a lot of the content I usually would do on my YouTube channel, but it was something I was really passionate about, and I wanted to make a video on a character analysis since I've been watching Dragon Ball character analysis since I was a teenager. I do really love this series, and I would maybe consider making more of these videos in the future, so if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe for just... I really put a lot of my time into this video, and I really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.